If I can make it here, I can make it anywhere, that's what they say. See my face in lights.
Hi everyone, my name is Sally and I'm a music leader for the Urban Vocal Group. I'm also a singing and voice teacher and I specialise in contemporary and commercial technique and vocal health. Now, last week we talked about allergies and how they affect singers, and also how to start to wake your voice up when you are feeling a little bit sniffly, or if you're full of cold, or if you've got allergies. And it got me thinking this week, I wonder how many of you actually know why we need to warm up, or if you warm up, or if you know how to warm up for your own voice type. So I thought I'd make a video today talking about warming up and why it's so important, and how you might want to start warming up for your own voice type. So starting with warming up. Now, it seems like one of those things that it seems pretty obvious, but at the same time, a lot of people don't do it, and a lot of professional singers don't do it. And the reason why I want you to start warming up your voice is so you can start to recognise when your voice is having a good day and a bad day. Because your voice will go through different cycles every single day, and that could be down to how much you've eaten, what you've drank, how much sleep you've got, what mood you're in. Everything that you literally are as a human completely changes the sound of your voice day to day. So what I want you to start thinking of is, by warming up, we're kind of getting that kind of analysis of how we feel today and what our body is able to do today. And that's really important, because if you do the same warm up regularly, you will then have almost like checkpoints to go through and see exactly how your voice is feeling. And that will determine what you should be singing that day. So if you have a day where you warm up and your voice is feeling great and it's really, really easy for you, then you know you can probably sing the more difficult songs. If you're having a day where your voice isn't really moving much and the scales or the warm-ups that you normally do are really, really hard for you, that probably shows you that you don't want to be pushing your voice too much, because it's just not working for you today. Or you may need to do certain exercises in order to warm your voice up, like what we said last week about allergies and working through kind of more sluggish voices. Okay, so warming up is really, really important, like I said, for kind of as checkpoints to see how your voice is getting on. It's also really, really important because your voice is a muscle, and if you go in cold on singing and you've not warmed your voice or worked your voice into a position to be ready to sing, you're likely to hurt yourself. And it's been proven that even warming up for only 30 seconds makes a drastic difference in your vocal health and your abilities. And it's kind of up there with, if you're not warming up your voice, you are probably taking away from how long you can sing for within a singing session, because your voice will feel much more stressed going into the songs that you do. A lot of people, a lot of my professionals come to me, and a lot of my singers who are studying with me, they come to me and they say, oh, well, I just warm up on an easier song. And that may be fine and that may work for you, but what I want you to start thinking about is that song is going in straight away onto words. It's going on to big jumps often within the melody. It's going into times where you're not actually having time to stop and rest and relax in between. Think of it almost like interval training, or like, you know, when you kind of do, like if you're in like PE or you're like kind of do a dance or sports, they often get you to do stretching and kind of movements first to get your body ready to start working, and that is what this is. Now, you will already be doing warm-ups in UVG, and a lot of them you probably will recognise that are being reused in this warm-up. This is a warm-up that I like to use, and this warm-up is based on vocal health. It's based on making sure that you're stretching and warming up your voice in a more gentle way. Now, different exercises work for different people, and people prefer different sounds to others, and that's all to do with the shape of your face, to do with your tongue position, to do with your natural accent. You know, anything like that you are naturally kind of doing with your voice already will make something more comfortable to you over something else. So please remember that you need to work with your body and what you are happy to do, rather than trying to force through it or keep up with one of the warm-ups that either I'm showing you, or that Olivia might be showing you, or that Amber might be showing you, because it's really, really important that you are not working too hard with that. To be honest, any singing teacher, if they give you an exercise and you're struggling with it, or you're feeling any pain or any strain, particularly in a warm-up, that is going against exactly what we want it for. So if you think about warming up, it should be comfortable, it should be effortless, it shouldn't be strenuous, it's not a technical, okay? If you're trying to build your range, or you're trying to build your chest voice, or you're trying to build your head voice, that is what we call a technical, and that is something different, and you would need to do a warm-up first, okay? So I'm going to take you through a little warm-up which I like to do. Now, I'm going to tell you why as well, because I also think that if you're doing an exercise, you should know why you do this, okay? So we're going here, we're going to go, and going to go for ma, 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 ma. Now, you may be familiar with this. This is just the triad. And the reason why I like this is because the notes aren't too big. There's not too many like jumps in it. It's not like it's an octave to get started with, you know, something like that. That can be a real effort for waking your voice up. Now, it should be comfortable. You shouldn't push too hard. But as you start to move up in your range, you will need to put a little bit more energy in order to make sure you don't start straining. Think the higher you go, the windier you need to be. If you've missed the cry videos, please go back down the page and have a look at them because they're so important in helping you to hit high notes. But if you are singing, you're warming up, you should be thinking, once you get to that position where you start to feel a bit of triggering, you know, a little bit of tightness around here, that is your warning sign. Your body is warning you that you need to do something different in order to move up. Think about it as like a gear change, you know, like if you're in the car with someone and they're driving and they're clunky and it kind of feels like it's a little bit uneasy. That is what it sometimes feels like in your voice, is that you're not in the right gear to sing those notes. Okay, so let's kind of go through this, and this may be a bit low. This is for this is starting on G, so this is more for your altos who'd be more comfortable here, and I'll call out when you come into mezzo and sopranos. And that's something else I want you to be very careful of, particularly if you're getting YouTube videos up with warm-ups in, that they need to be for your voice type. If you are a soprano and you are taking your voice far too low in a warm-up, that can cause more stress in your body straight away before you even start to sing. And when you come to sing your songs, everything's going to be much more tighter and harder to get out. So please bear that in mind. Also with soprano, with mezzos or altos, about making sure you don't take your voice too high. You shouldn't be putting effort and strain. Even if you do a couple of really, really comfortable low notes, then start from the beginning again and then move up and then come back down when it gets too high and start to edge your way up. That's a better way of warming up. Think about, you get up in the morning, you're not going to suddenly go for a run. We need to kind of release and relax into these warm-ups. So we're going to start here. Now, if this is too low for you, if you are a soprano or if you are a higher mezzo, this might be a bit difficult, but we're going to start with ma, 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 and then we're going to move up, ma, 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 and about here you might feel more comfortable coming as a soprano, ma, 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 ma. If you start to get any pinching, make sure that you're releasing and relaxing, that you're thinking, everything's amazing. I like to use that. Everything's amazing, because it keeps it really, really bright. Ma, 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 ma. I'm going to move up and I want you to get to a really annoying voice. Ma, 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 ma. Now, that voice I like to bring in, particularly if people are a little bit more anxious about making a sound up there, because if you're anxious, we clench up, and by going into a squeaky voice, everything gets there a little bit easier. It's a little bit about getting your body used to singing in those upper registers. And I'm telling you, if you are a singer, whether you're particularly for a female voice, if you're a male and your voice is changing, and if you're going through like your voice breaking, those notes may be more difficult for you. So you're always singing the octave down for when you're working with a girl. If you're a girl and you can't get up to those notes that we just went into, I'm telling you, you can. You just need to make sure you're allowing yourself to do that. This isn't too high, and these are very, very comfortable notes for females, particularly for those under the age of 36. This should be really, really comfortable, because that's when women's voices completely develop. So if you are 16, 17, or 13 or 14, or 11 or 12, and you are struggling with those high notes, that is going to be more about that you're not willing to give it a go. So if you're frightened, maybe you can go into a room, turn some music up really, really loud if you're worried about other people hearing you, and just sing these scales. Like, you can put me on like headphones and just kind of go through, because sometimes these exercises are about kind of coming out of your comfort zone and starting to work within being more confident within your own voice. You know, these aren't meant to be pretty sounds. In fact, they're pretty ugly, most of them, but that's what I would do, is I would just kind of make sure that you are allowing yourself to try them, even if they sound ugly. If they're clenching and they tighten, they're breaking, what I would do is I would make sure that you're not pushing your voice too high too quickly, but I would be trying to encourage you to start to move, particularly up to about here. So ma, 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 ma. And if you're finding that's really, really difficult and for some reason you can't get higher, please send us a message and we can help you with starting to improve your range, because sometimes it is a little bit of a mental block, sometimes it's because there's tension, and sometimes because there's a little bit of unhappiness there in the voice, and we might need to look at that. Okay, so we're going to go through that again just so you've got that to practice with. So we're going to go ma, 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 and sopranos come in here, ma, 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 ma. Now the reason why I like to use m as well, ma, is because m is a little bit more safer in your sound. So if you just go straight for like ah, that can push quite a lot in your throat and in your jaw. So I would really stick for your mas. Ma 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 ma. They're a little bit safer for you. So we're going to go for Y's now. And I want you to be really dramatic. We're going to go Y. And this is practicing that cry sound that we've spoken about a few times. And that's going to make things a little bit easier for you to sing higher and a bit safer. Y. And the higher you go, the windier you need to be. Okay, so as you notice, I'm not taking this too high, particularly like sopranos. You might find that you're only just starting to get going, and you can go much higher. But it's important that we're not pushing that range too much. We're just getting the voice moving. I like an ooey-ah because it's got a nice slide to it. We do this one. I know this is one that Olivia and Jodie and Amber and Faye and Kate use within the group. If we're doing ooey-ah, ooey-ah, we're getting that mouth moving, but make sure you're not overworking that, because I see like these faces come from people, and if you've got any extra work within your face, that's only going to take energy and it's going to cause your voice to tire out eventually, because all these muscles pull onto each other, and if this face is moving too much, if you're working too hard, you're going to start to get a little bit of work around the throat. Okay, so we're going to go ooey-ah. I'm going to go ooey-ah, ooey-ah, and as you notice, I'm not over that too far. Ooey-ah, ooey-ah. Remember to slide that. Ooey-ah, don't just jump up. Ooey-ah, 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 ooey-ah. Sometimes I like to put that into like a really like position just to take that weight out of my voice. Remember, I'm trying to wake my voice up gently. I'm not trying to punch at it and try and just get those notes out. I want to get those notes any way that my body can at the moment. I'm going to move into some nasals because that's going to start to wake up the front of your face. It's going to help to clear any of the nastiness out, and you'll recognise these from last week. But we're going to go for myems, M-N-E-M. So myem, 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 start to buzz around that. That's a weird sound. That is in your head voice, and we need to make sure we're not working too hard for these. These are all like sounds, okay? We're just going to try sing. We're going to sing. Now, if you're finding these a little bit fast, take the sounds and split them up and go really easy. Because like, I'm not here with you. I can't see how this is working on your voice. I can't see the type of pressure it's putting into your voice, whether it's really comfortable for you. So you need to make sure that you're kind of being responsible for your own body and your own vocal health and going at your own speed. Because actually that yem, that may have been far too fast for you. You may need to go yem, 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 yem. And then we're going to move up. Yem, 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 yem. That sound is all into the nose. It's like it's a really ugly sound, but it's also in your head voice. It's not a if it starts to sound scratchy or it feels like you in your throat, then you know you're working a little bit too hard with that. And I'd practice going Now these are stupid sounds and they're a bit scary to do, but what I want you to start thinking of is that singing is made of silly sounds and scary sounds, and the more you get used to doing them in a warm-up, the easier they'll be for you to sing in bigger songs, and that worry about going for those higher notes in that songs will become much more comfortable. So just before we finish, we're going to do the sing one again, because we're going to sing, and I'm getting caught on the NG. I'm not going sing, I'm going sing, and getting hooked into that NG, and I feel that in my nose. Sing, 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 sing. That was a really weird one. After a while it feels like it's going to drop out. So if it feels like it's going to drop backwards, you need to think forward. I caught a look of myself in the on the screen then, and I lost the last one. So yeah, so don't look at yourself when you're doing these ones. But yeah, so it's all about buzzing around there. So just to recap, your voice needs stretching and it needs waking up. Okay, so I want you to think about warming up not so much as a way of kind of just battering your voice with scales, you know, and you have to do all these high notes, you have to do all these power notes. That is not a warm-up. A warm-up is about aligning your voice and getting it ready to make the sounds that you sing. So also a warm-up may need to be considered for what type of songs you're singing. If you're going to be singing only in head voice, then you'd probably be wanting to do a lot of head voice warm-ups and a lot of resonance warm-ups and lots of forward sounds, you know, like sing, all those buzzy sounds. If you're going to be belting, you need to be going, oh, hey, I, oh, and getting that more chesty sound out. There's no point warming up in head voice if you then need to go and practice chest voice and belt. So remember, you're aligning your voice ready to whatever you're going to be singing. If you're going to be singing a combination of everything, that's great. You should be warming up throughout your entire voice. But for most people, a lot of times we're kind of tiring out our voice before we even get started. So that's a big thing I want you to think about, is what is your warm-up for? What exercises should you be doing if you are going to be doing chest voice or head voice? And what exercises should you be doing for you and your voice type? Now, we've already spoken about head voice sounds within the nasal ones, and the chest voice sounds. You've got glottals, like oh, A's, all of those sounds. And they're great to bring into your warm-ups. You can use a normal warm-up that you use all the time and then just do some of those sounds after. As I said earlier about making sure you're singing for your voice type, if you're a soprano, you should be sticking, if you've got a keyboard, that's great. If not, look for warm-ups with sopranos in mind. So soprano is the higher voice type. You should be singing from C to C to C. If you're down in G, this may be a bit grating. It might be too low for you, particularly when you're warming up. And remember, we're warming up, not trying to extend range or trying to do a technical. If you're a mezzo, G is G to G. Alto, C to C to C, so it's a little bit lower. That's also where tenors come in, baritones and bass, you know. So if you think about where that's starting around B, where I normally start with warm up, so ma 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 is a good place for most people to start. But obviously, guys, you're down there. So that's kind of it for warming up and kind of getting your voice ready. I just want to leave you with the idea of that you are not warming up to batter your voice through scales. You're warming up to get your voice ready for whatever you need to sing today. It's also good to warm up your voice if you're not intending on singing, because it's giving you a good idea of where your voice is sitting today, okay? So it's important for vocal health, but it's also good for you having like kind of a little fitness routine in your everyday. So I hope you enjoyed that video. Please send us a message if you've got any questions or any worries about anything that we spoke about today, or if you can't figure out how you should be warming up, or if your warming up is hurting your voice and you kind of feel like you're struggling to get any sounds out. So that's it, and I will speak to you next week. Bye.